Thank you. Marcus.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just a quick question, given that you have been operating on the ontological level with a distinction between society of minds and society of humans. But at the end, you seem to be saying, social anthropology, if I read you correctly, that humans are hybrid entities. And if that is correct, then I wonder if you think that there is a society of humans, after all, in the picture. So I wonder, are there any humans in your picture? And if so, what are they? Right? So is there a base level entity that would be the human being? And then, so basically I'm asking you the methodological individualism or ontological individualism versus holism debate, given the ontology you presented. Where would you stand?
If I understand your question well, I would say that yes, humans are hybrids in the sense that they are the product of a historical process through which the interactions and relations between humans and the environment has changed. By environment, I mean both the natural and the artificial environment. Changed the way human beings, human persons are. Now, what I'm saying is that, anyway, relations do not reduce what we can call the human nature. Contrary to what I call the relationalists, and Kokelberg, for instance, to me, is a relationalist, the substance and the relations are co-principles of reality. So you cannot reduce the human nature to relations and relations to the human nature. You have to keep both and make the distinction between them, but also know their interchanges during the historical process. So that's why I think that humans can keep their nature, but change them relationally without substituting relations entirely to their nature, at least. That's my social anthropology, if you want.
Oh, sorry. Yeah? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just giving him the floor.
I enjoy enormously your presentation. And the last sentence is about the development, personality development. Robots ignore development. We always talk to a robot who has always the same age. No. It's not a growing, I have never seen robots that grow from childhood to adulthood. And
do you mean physically?
And this, I think, is a great, I would say, distance between a robot and a human being, because the human being in the social relation is really related to the age or the level or the stage of the development of the other one. Therefore, it is quite strange that robots have always the same age. This is all.
Well, I don't think we can really let that pass. I mean, they don't have the same age physically as metallic bodies. You can put a date on them, you can even stamp it on them if you want to. And you are not allowing for the self-learning and self-adaptation and error correction that they undertake over time, which can make them very different beings, entities if you prefer, from the ones that they started off being. They're not identical.
Okay. Well, Antonio, I don't want to get into the traditional question of the ontogenetic and phylogenetic evolution of the human being as well as of nature. What I think is that robots can evolve, but not develop. Yeah. Well, to me, evolve means that there is something happening there, not intentionally. Development means that there is a teleonomy, at least, within the process. Children develop because there is a teleonomy within the biological life course, okay? And besides the teleonomy within the biological field, there is the intentionality of the culture. Culture impinging upon children, socializing children, educating children, etc., is something which has some intentionality, which is not into the evolution. When I say evolution, evolve, that means, like Luciano Floridi's point of view, that the human being is what he calls a nature's beautiful glitch. A beautiful glitch is something happening, evolving, in a sense that happening there, because there are causal reasons why it happens. Development means that there is some finalization, some finalism, some teleonomy within the process. If you don't want to talk about intentionality as a real explicit way of steering your change, how you change during your development. I don't know if you have answered to your question, but it's also a question of semantics. I mean, if you use development and evolution in different ways, evolution is something, to me, which happens because of physical, environmental reasons, etc., etc. While development implies, in some sense, a kind of finalism within it, which can be cultural, biological, or of any other kind.
Amy, next. Well, don't fight over it.
I was going to ask if you've ever thought of looking at or heard of the care ethics area, because I think in terms of the focus on the impact of robots on relationships, I think care ethics could be very insightful there, especially the work of Joan Tronto, because she also takes this relational element and then focuses on care practices. So when you showed that picture of the robot in the factory setting, you know, you have to think about the human who is going to engage with all of these different forms of automation. At least from my own perspective, I found that care ethics, especially the work of Joan Tronto, allows for this analysis of the practice of the humans interacting with other humans as well as technologies and the impact that the robot's introduction has.
Well, also the care ethics is a very, very big issue. What I know are some researches, empirical researches, like the researches done by Amanda Sharkey on the use of robots for the elderly, for caring the elderly. And she says that there are a lot of problems there because the elderly people using robots, they say, well, the robots are very useful from the instrumental point of view. They prepare the breakfast, they help me in doing this and that, but I do not feel recognized in my human dignity. That means that they do not feel real care, because care implies affection, a kind of recognition which I think the robot cannot give. So this is the same for children using robots, because what we call care by the robot towards children, for instance, is the same care that can be done by some animals in respect to people, to young people, to children. So there are certainly some dimensions of what we call care. But of course, human care and the care by robots are two different realities. So what I'm trying to understand by using the concept of hybridization is precisely to differentiate these different exchanges between human beings, for instance, a child or an old person, and the robot in respect to other kinds of relationships, for instance, between humans and animals or between robots and animals. So what we have to analyze is the kind of qualities and causal properties. For caring, the effect of caring is a causal properties of a certain kind of relationships, not all of them. Not only if there is an intention of caring, could be, because the emergent, precisely, the emergent, I have depicted in my figure, the emergent is not necessarily consequent to the intentions of the agents. What the agents do not necessarily produce a certain kind of good, okay, a certain kind of emergent. So when we talk about care ethics, we have to distinguish between different kinds of care provided by human beings and by robots,
Okay.
by other entities.
But I think we must
they are
press on.
different. Is that clear? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.